Our next two guests I'm very pleased to introduce to you. Dorothy Baker is here. She's the Delaware State Chairman of the United States Olympic Committee. She's been active in the United States Olympic Committee since 1975, and she's the first woman ever appointed to that post. With her is Frank Masley, who is a Delawarean, and he is the United States Luge champion. Luge is a sport like sledding. And he is a Delawarean, as I mentioned, and also he's the first Delawarean ever to be in a Winter Olympics, and we're very pleased and honored to have both of them with us. Hello, Dorothy. Hello, Frank.
Hi, Bob.
Dorothy, what are your responsibilities as the Delaware chairman for the United States Olympic Committee?
It's primarily fundraising, but it's also a lot of promotion and letting people know just exactly what the United States Olympic movement is about and all the great strides that we've taken in the past few years.
Of course, you raise money, too. And
Yeah.
in that capacity, I understand that our committee, our state committee, has raised more money per capita than any other state in the Union for 1976 and the 1980 Olympics. That's quite a feat.
Well, we really have. We've worked hard, and athletes like Frank Masley make it all worthwhile for us.
Do you anticipate to duplicate that feat for 1984 Olympics?
We hope to. We have a very active committee going now.
Who's on your committee?
Well, Rulie Carpenter is our honorary chairman, and then we have terrific vice chairmen, Andy and Patty Hobbs, and Alfred and Kathy Dent, John Hammer, Phil Spiker.
Oh, well-known names.
Manton. Yeah, they're all our vice chairmen, and then we have about 55 members of the committee.
How much money do you anticipate raising this year?
We plan to raise $150,000.
That's a large sum of money. Best of luck to you.
Thanks loads.
Why are you personally involved in this, Dorothy?
Well, I just have a great commitment to our amateur athletics in general, and I think the way the Olympic Committee is moving and the strides that it's taking with our National Sports Festival and our training centers and our sports medicine program, it's just a marvelous opportunity not only for the elite athlete but also on a grassroots level. And I think everybody should be involved in sports, and it's really just going to be a terrific time, and especially with the Olympics coming up in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Now, where can people send money if they want to help?
They could send it to Olympic Fund, Box 1984, Rockland, Delaware, and the zip code is 19732.
And who should they make the checks payable to?
Checks payable to the United States Olympic Committee.
Well, that sounds like a good thing for you viewers to do. Frank, the luge sport is sort of new to the viewers. How did it all get started?
Okay, it's a very new sport here in the United States. It originated over in East Germany and Switzerland, Austria, and it's been around since 1890 there. But it just became an Olympic event in 1964. It's the newest Winter Olympic event. And I would say the people in Delaware probably know as much about luge as all over the United States. So it's still on a very it's very new here, and we're gearing up for the 1983 World Championships next winter. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, if we can have a good showing there, I like to be part of that. I'd like to have the best showing there, and we can make the sport more popular in the United States and hopefully available to everyone. It's a great sport. If you like sledding, you ought to give it a try.
Mm-hmm. Now, you competed in the 1980 Olympics. What did you personally get out of that?
Oh, it was probably one of the greatest experiences of my life. That's what they always say about the Olympics, and it really was. Unfortunately, we had a crash in our Olympic run, and that put us out of the standings. We managed to complete that run, and we ended up getting the 10th fastest time on our second run. But that just makes me want to try harder for the 84 Olympics. Mm-hmm. And there was so many, it was like Christmas every day during the Olympics. In the Olympic Village, we had, the cafeteria was open 24 hours a day, and I like to eat. I can't gain any weight, but it was great that you could go in, the best food in the world was there, and like I said, you could go in any time. And then we had clothes from Levi's. That was quite a treat. And watching the other, I got a really big kick out of meeting athletes from all over the world. A lot of them speak English, and so we got to communicate with them. And just meeting athletes from our own country, it was quite an experience.
Now, you're gearing up for the 1984 Olympics also, right?
Yes.
And you're also the United States champion.
Yes, I am. And one of the questions they asked me in Lake Placid, they say, is there a lot of mountains in Delaware? They can't get over me coming from Delaware and beating a lot of the people up there. Mm-hmm. But I put a lot of concentration into it and put the time into going up there every winter to Lake Placid, New York. And they had beginners programs there every year. And I happened to start 6 years ago in a beginner program. And I've made a point to go back every winter where I've competed in competitions. and they start you off on a low level down on the track, so you're going at slow speed. You can learn how to steer the sled, how to handle it, and you go around the ice curves. You're laying on your back on a feet first position. It's a little awkward at first, but it becomes the best position after a while. And I've just been like wrapped up in it every winter for the last 6 years.
Now, after these short messages, we're going to see a video which was done by Evening Magazine, I understand, which basically will show you in practice and also what the competition looks like.
Right, you'll see some winter shots, some fast-moving shots, and those are the ones to keep an eye on, because that's where it's really at, on the ice.
Okay, we'll be back with Frank and Dorothy after these short messages to see a segment from Evening Magazine showing you what the sport of luge is all about. Stay tuned. I'm looking forward to spending. Now we're back with Dorothy Baker, the Delaware Olympic Committee chairman, and Frank Masley, who is the United States Luge champion and Delawarean. And before we go see some Evening Magazine segments of Frank Masley, I want to have Frank tell the viewers about what the University of Delaware is doing to improve upon the luge sled that you use.
Right, the mechanical and aerospace students have just recently completed a year study senior design project on the luge sled, and we asked them to build us the fastest sled in the world, and they approached it with great enthusiasm, and they did wind tunnel testing on the sled, composite bridges, start mechanisms, and dynamic studies on the forces acting on the sled when you go through the curves with the G-forces. And we're going to take those ideas and start putting them to use. Right now we're sliding on a standard sled that we bought in Austria, the only place that makes them in the world. And all the other countries have their own sleds designed by engineers and scientists. So now we have the University of Delaware. They're going to put their effort into it.
Well, now let's take a look at Frank Masley engaged in practice and what the sport looks like.
In 1978, $5.8 million was spent to build a race course, which is the only one of its kind in the United States. It's for a winter sport which you may have never heard of. It's called luging, a very dangerous and thrilling race on a sled similar to a bobsled, but without the protection. In February, this course will be alive with luges, racing at speeds of up to 70 miles an hour, and it's all part of the 1980 Winter Olympics at Lake Placid, New York. Meanwhile, in Wilmington, Delaware, Frank Masley, with luge in hand, is preparing to attack that course in February for the United States team. It's a relatively new sport for Frank as well as the Americans, but he's been fortunate enough to capture the national singles title and has competed in Austria. Since the luge is such an obscure sport, you might wonder how a fellow comes to be interested in it.
Well, I saw it on TV one time in the '76 Olympics, and then just by chance a friend of mine rode off to find out more about the sport, and they had a 3-day beginners program in Lake Placid during the Christmas holidays, and so I got my brother-in-law to take me up there, and that was the first time I ever saw for real the sled, and went for 3 days, and then they had 2 more weeks in January, and I took off from school and went for 2 more weeks, and they had a good training program, and I really got into the sport then. For the Europeans, it's a very important sport. For the Americans, though, it's a very new sport. We have a few athletes, probably 200 in the United States that are active, but it will become a big sport in the future, I'm sure, because we have the track up there, and people will really go for it, I think.
Frank is a very determined athlete. His training ground is a vacant soapbox derby track which he has to climb over the fence to get in. He's also had to modify the runners of the luge with speed skating wheels to run on concrete. These hardships might discourage many, but Frank lets nothing bother him as he prepares to run the course. nice to see you. I want you to take that thing off your head, make it comfortable, make yourself comfortable. Sit down. You know, I can't help thinking, as I saw you come whizzing past me, that the position you're in looks terribly uncomfortable.
It's really not that bad. At first it's awkward, but after you get used to sliding on it, it's the best position to be because your body touches the whole sled. You can steer it with your shoulders and your whole body's touching the sled, and it's very aerodynamic also for speed.
What kind of muscle control do you need for this?
Well, you need a lot of muscle control, and to start with the start when you take off from the ramp, you need shoulders and your upper body and the lower back for your starts have to be really powerful. And then as you're going down the track, you have to have your neck muscles. That requires a lot of neck muscles because when you go through the curves, the G-force pulls your head back. And also your feet, you have to keep them, your toes pointed, and everything should be in a straight line, your whole body, no sags from fatigue. And when you're steering, you should have very good muscle touch with the sled so you can feel everything that's going on, and you'll be able to react quicker and put more pressure when needed.
How fast can you get going on this thing?
Up to Lake Placid track, 60, 70 miles an hour on good runs. 50 miles an hour usually always, and then when you get down everything right, it should be 60, possibly 70 miles an hour.
This is dangerous.
It's not dangerous, though.
It is too.
Our coach says it's not dangerous. There are freak accidents every once in a while, but when you flip over, you just slide, you keep sliding on your stomach or however you land.
I know that you can't get going as fast on this track as you can on the ice. So when you do go in competition, how do you make the adjustment?
Well, the speed right now on wheels is not that important. It's mainly for getting your muscles in shape, your neck, and different steering techniques. The speed will come when you get on the track. When you get on the track, you'll move up the track and the speed will come to you then. But this is a good base for all the training that will go into Lake Placid, because I'm working with the sled and I can feel every movement of the sled now going slow speeds, and plus I'll be holding my head up longer. It helps for your neck muscles. And the speed is not that important right now. It'll come when I get on the track.
Frank's training for the Olympics is pretty much a solo effort, although he does have a coach. But many of his competitors from Europe train year-round, which might give them a slight edge.
Especially in luge, we're really in the backstage as Americans because we don't have the equipment that they have, and we don't have the track time. We have a track in Lake Placid, but we haven't even used that very much. And they train almost, they have ice a lot of the year too. And they're like professionals almost. And everyone's for themselves in America. You have to do it yourself.
How do you feel about the future of the sport?
I think it has a good future as far as the participant aspect of it goes. I think a lot of people will enter the sport after they see it on TV in the Olympics, especially since it's at Lake Placid. We have our own luge track, and that helps a lot. And the participation will really grow, I think.
Well, Frank, that was very, very good. We want to thank the Evening Magazine organization for doing such a nice job and allowing us to view this and air this to the viewers, because it was very nicely done. Frank, you keeping in training?
I sure am. I'm fortunate to be working out at the Pikery Court Club now, where they have Nautilus equipment, and this gives me the strength and flexibility that I need for my starts and for going down the track steering in those tight corners.
Well, I wish you best.
Okay, thank you.
Dorothy, where again can the viewers send their contributions?
They may send them to Olympic Fund, Box 1984, Rockland, Delaware, 19732.
And who should they make the checks payable to?
Checks payable to the United States Olympic Committee.
Well, thanks Dorothy Baker and Frank Masley for being on Focus Delaware.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to some short messages, but we'll be back with more of Focus.